What's going on, everybody? You already know what day it is. It's Tutorial Thursdays. So if you follow me on Facebook, over the weekend, I actually posted an image of what I did on my Saturday morning. I'll post that, somewhere over here. And just to let you guys know, this was fun. This was so much fun to do. If you notice in my previous video, I actually changed all my drum heads on my 5 drums to Manito Percussion's dark steer heads. And so far, obviously they're not broken in. This one is starting to break in. Changed it maybe a little over a month ago. But the other ones still haven't broken in, but I already love the sound that it's giving on my Palladiums. For these kind of drums, they're, you're able to feel the wood ash at least. They're LPs. But I wanted to actually show you guys the process that I had to do to put 2 Super Tumbas. It was tough, so I wanted to show you guys how I had to do it. So whenever you get a head, you're either getting it in 2 fashions, either rolled up or if not, straight flat. In most occasions these days, you're going to get it rolled up, especially when you're ordering them online. It's just a lot easier for the person you're ordering it from to send it to you. In this case, I got it rolled up. So the first thing you have to do is you have to put it to soak in water. At least 8 to 9 hours. I had ordered 22-inch steer heads for both of the Super Tumbas. I needed to, have them soak for a little bit longer. So I had them soak for about maybe like 9.5 hours. I did that so I could make sure I had enough, wiggle room and it'd be soft enough for me to manipulate it when I needed to install it onto the head. So that's the waiting part. You have to leave it overnight. I normally put it in warm water, lukewarm, not that, hot. No. In my case, I'm a paranoid guy, so I would always go and check to see if it was okay, if it was moving, if it was fine, if it was expanding. I would always check to see if it was going well. After that, I noticed that it was properly soaked. I took him out the water. And I started the process of actually trying to install him in the hoop. Now, the way I learned was I would lay the head flat on a flat surface, put the fresh hoop on top of the skin, and then put the rim on top of the fresh hoop. And then what I would try to do is do the sandwich that you could see it almost everywhere when you're trying to install. You're going to try to fit the skin in between the fresh hoop and the rim. So I did try that. That's the way I learned. That's the way I had to practice it. And that's the way I was successful in installing 2 requintos before. But in this case, for some reason, when I got to try to put it on the Super Tumba, it was unsuccessful. Man, I was getting frustrated. I called my dad up. I was like, man, can you help me out? I need an extra hand here to push this head down, and it's just not working for me. So here you see 2 men just trying to push on the head just so these hooks can get attached to the rim. And when we got one on, oh man, that was like a success. But then in order for you to install the head, you need to put it from one side and then the opposite side. That's the hard part. That opposite side, when you try to put this, oh man, I was struggling. Oh my gosh, I promise you. But I was aware of other techniques to at least try. So I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to, Not in my book, man. So what I did was I ended up putting the skin flat on the Super Tumba. Just straight flat on there. And then I put the hoop that was going to be able to hold the head on top of the skin to give it shape. I've seen this technique in other places. They had many success with it. The only fear I had was if the hoop was going to actually stay. But it was my only option at that point, at least. So I put the head fresh down, put the hoop, and then I put the rim on top. And then what I did was I started putting the skin in between the fresh hoop and the rim. And that was crazy hard, man, because the wrinkles just try to escape and you have to make sure. So it's always good to have these tools. So what you're going to need, you're going to need a wrench. You're going to need a single edge blade. You're going to need some pliers to try to ply out the skins. And you're also going to need some clamps. So here I am pulling with the pliers, and I'm here just pulling out the skin. And I'm like, okay. And I noticed that because of me putting the fresh hoop down first, it gave me a lot more wiggle room. So when it came down to installing one side and then the opposite side, it was actually a little bit easier for me. When it came down to putting the other ones, that's when it got harder. But then I noticed, and it was completely fine. Everything looked good. The head looked like it was grabbing with the rim. So then, the most exciting part is the cut. Unfortunately, I did not record myself cutting the skin. I don't know why, but maybe because I was focused on not cutting my skin or my head. The best advice I could give you is when you cut, use the rim as a guide. Make a little incision and start cutting away from you. And you're going to use your opposite hand to pull off the skin. And you're going to do it like in this type of position. By doing that, you're not going to be cutting on the rim. You're not going to be cutting on the head. And it's a lot more manageable that way. Now, it all depends on your style too, how much skin you want to actually lay on. Personally, I like a little bit of skin on there. It's just my preference. I don't know why. I like to see that skin. I've always liked to see it. If I can't see it, I get kind of, I don't know, paranoid. Thinking it's going to mess up or it's going to mess up my hardware. I don't know. But when it's all said and done, that's the waiting game. Something I suggest is maybe tune a little bit. Not like if you're going to try to play, but just to make sure that the lugs are on nice and firm and they're not just like loose and crazy. Because you want that head to sit. You want that rim to build shape. You want the head to harden and dry up. And what ends up happening is after 4 to 5 days, you're going to be able to play on it. And it's going to be beautiful. But the best way to know to see if your head is dry is on the side right here. On these parts right here where it's kind of like wrinkly. If that part is still wet, that means it's still wet down here. So take your time. Be patient. Don't worry. These things, you understand, you soaked it for 9.5 hours or 9 hours. Like, imagine if your skin was soaked in water for 9.5 hours. Can you imagine how crazy that would look? So just give it some time so it could build some shape. Something I suggest is every day, just go, maybe give it a nice little tight on each lug, just so it could start getting some shape. This is only day 2, man. Wait till day 5. Woo! But hopefully next week your guys are gonna be able to hear how everything sounds. By now, today's Thursday, so it'll be 5 days since I installed the head. So I'm going to be playing on that thing this weekend, and I'm going to make them babies scream. Talking about scream, like, ah! Yeah. Well, they're low, so it's like, yeah. It's 2 Super Tumbas, man. I'm just letting you guys know it took me 3 hours to install both heads. Wow. Started at about 9:30, finished at 12:30 to do both. Because that one part when I had to just try to get into shape and get it to push down and just to get the lug, that right there, you'll see me struggling and going crazy and getting frustrated and jumping, taking off my shirt, trying to get it done, and it was frustrating. But so far, the heads that I have are beautiful. Thank you, Ryan, again, with Manito Percussion. If you guys haven't hopped on, get yourself a steer head. Alright, guys, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe. See you guys next week.